Okay, our final presentation today is genetic engineering. Please give a big round of applause.
Genetic engineering is the process of manipulating one's genetic code in order to produce the desired traits.
Genetic engineering first took place in 1978 with the development of insulin from the company WH15. Since then, it has taken off and has major impacts in the fields of industry and medicine.
How genetic engineering works is you take the DNA from one organism and insert it into another. With time, the manipulated organism's DNA will multiply from and be the same DNA as the original.
Genetic engineering has had huge impacts during droughts and curing diseases that were thought incurable.
94% according to molecular biology, to transfer traits or characteristics into organisms. Genetic engineering has been around since Charles Darwin has arrived in the Galapagos and researched selective breedings, in which he published in his studies in his book, The Origins of Species. However, this technological invention has impacted our world in negative ways, such as having health risks, threatens our food supply, has environmental risks, and has harsh effects on our food. Genetic engineering has made farming more efficient and productive. Seeds can now be modified to grow on land not ideal for cultivation, such as in areas of drought. A research study conducted by compared to the 50% drop in the wild maize's growth rate. An experiment organized by the University of California Science Department in 2012 is shown. The image shows a wild plant growing in drought conditions on the left and a transgenic plant growing in the same conditions on the right. The transgenic plant is healthier and more plentiful after 15 days of little water. In today's world, Egypt now uses genetically modified maize commercially. This has led to a 25% yield increase since 2008. This yield increase reduces Egypt's risk of falling into hunger and poverty. So by using genetically modified seeds, a plant's growth rate will increase and a country's crop yield will also increase. One of the many negative effects of genetic engineering includes health risks, one of which includes producing new allergen proteins. Scientists have no way of knowing if they are producing new allergen proteins besides experience. A study done by Nebraska State shows that when soybeans are genetically engineered, they are now containing the same allergen protein as Brazil nuts. Therefore, if someone consumes this will be then destroyed and the genes will also become impervious to the antibiotic. It will not be able to look. This will also aggravate diseases that are already present. Another study shows that pregnant women who consume genetically engineered food, 93% of the toxins are found in the bloodstreams of their unborn babies.
Genetic engineering has had a very positive effect on the shelf life of fruits and vegetables. In 1994, the very first genetically modified tomatoes were allowed onto the market. Scientists observed and discovered that after about 15 days, a tomato would begin to rot. This discovery led to research trying to find new and alternative ways to extend the life of a tomato. The National Institute of Plant Genome Research conducted an experiment and found that by suppressing two enzymes associated with the ripening of a tomato, they would be able to push that tomato's life from 15 days to 45. With less of these enzymes being produced, it was found that tomatoes were not able to grow on their vines until they were ripe. Another benefit to this modification was that tomatoes are now able to deal with a longer transportation time, meaning that they can stay on shelves longer and it produces less waste in food.
Perhaps one of the most prominent uses of genetic engineering is the mass production of genetically identical seeds. In the US, over 90% of cotton In addition to this, genetic engineering is used to treat many diseases such as vitamin A deficiency, which affects over half the world's countries. This may make genetic engineering seem good, but there's a fatal flaw. Because all of these crops have the exact same genetic makeup, there's no protection from disease, and a single virus can wipe out the entire crop. This happened in 1970 with a kind of corn called the Texas male sterile. This corn was bred to have bred to have many desirable traits, but it had one unforeseen fallibility. It was extremely susceptible to a type of fungus, which wiped out the entire crop that year, eliminating 25% of the US's corn and causing billions of dollars of damage. Imagine if this happened with something like golden rice, which helps to treat vitamin A deficiency. Hundreds of millions of people depend on these plants, and if they're wiped out, the consequences would be catastrophic.
A vaccine is a dead virus given to an organism to help its immune system build defenses against the actual virus. With genetic engineering, we can make vaccines quicker than ever. Insulin is a hormone produced by the human body to regulate glucose levels. If an individual makes too much glucose, they are at risk for diabetes. With genetic engineering, scientists can take Langerhans, cells from the human epidermis, and insert them into the human bloodstream, which will regulate the glucose levels. This is an 8% success rate in the United States alone. Edible vaccines are vaccines that you can eat, and they will give you a defense against the virus. This is done by inserting a vaccine into the seed and then growing it. These vaccines are cheap, can be grown locally, and don't require injection. This has reduced infant mortality rate around the world by 7%.
Behind me is a picture of the Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria. This bacteria's genes are spliced into that of corn to create a kind of pesticide that is produced throughout the plant. This pesticide is used to to kill off harmful pests that try to eat the corn. However, according to the University of Delaware, helpful ladybirds, bees, and butterflies are also killed. These organisms are used to pollinate non-genetically modified corn. So, when they're killed, the regular corn can't thrive. The toxins from the Bt corn are also so powerful that they can contaminate nearby waterways in the soil, harming other plants and animals. As I said earlier, the toxins are produced throughout the plant, even in the pollen. This pollen can be transferred up to 1 kilometer away from the original mother plant, and it's been shown to kill monarch butterflies as they're flying, making it essentially a flying cloud of death. It can pollinate other non-genetically modified kinds of corn, making it essentially a parasite, taking over the regular corn and making it its own. Because genetically modified crops can do this, they should not be used for food.
David Vedder, shown on the left, was born with severe combined immunodeficiency, otherwise known as bubble boy disease. Guy Pearce, shown on the right, also was born with the same genetic defect. Thanks to gene therapy, SCID was the first genetic disease to be cured successfully. Since the NIH approved the first gene therapy study in 1989, over 800 case studies have been conducted and over 5,000 US citizens have been involved. Over 2/3 of those case studies have been devoted to finding a cure for cancer. Since 2000, over 3,000 other people have also been involved. Scientists have found promising results for other diseases such as AIDS, cystic fibrosis, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's disease, as well as many more.
Genetically engineered food can be harmful to people and animals and is often used. Sometimes animals that are given genetically engineered food can have harmful birth defects in their offspring or side effects in the food we get from them. For example, if cows are given genetically engineered food, they sometimes get infections. And if the infection is not detected, it can cause harmful side effects in the milk we get from them. And it can be linked to hard to treat illnesses. Another example, according to the Institute for Responsible Technology, when female rats were fed genetically modified soy, most of their young had died within 3 weeks, but the control groups that was fed natural soy, only 10% of their young had died within 3 weeks. Sometimes new toxicants are found inside genetically engineered food that have not been identified before and can be harmful to the environment.
Overall, genetic engineering is very beneficial to a country and the civilians who live in it. Through the use of this technology, a country's economy will strengthen, a person's risk of falling ill will decrease, the amount of waste produced will minimize, and many lives will be saved. Although there are some negatives to genetic engineering, the positives outweigh them by far. This technology saves lives more than it does harm them, and the safety of civilians is always in mind. For example, if a patient would like to use gene therapy, it first has to be approved by the doctor to make sure it's not too risky with his or her disease.
Also, scientists continue to develop this technology and fix any flaws present. This technology has many positives that should not be ignored, while the World Health Organization should continue to create guidelines for genetic engineering. The use of this technology in fields of agriculture and medicine will primarily save lives. In conclusion, the World Health Organization should recommend the use of genetically modified seeds and medicines in every country because the positives surpass the negatives beyond reason.
Genetic engineering is used all around the world in plants such as corn, soybeans, and cotton, and is used a little bit in animals, and in the future may be used to genetically engineer people. While there are a lot of positives to genetic engineering, there are also a lot of negatives, like health issues, harmful effects to the environment, mass production of genetically modified seeds, and harmful effects on food. In the future, scientists fear that this could cause super weeds to grow that are almost unkillable and can prevent the growth of any crops and severely damage food resources on the planet. If we are going to use genetic engineering,
For the pro side, they have actually started to begun genetic engineering on humans. What are your thoughts on that?
So genetic engineering on humans is like for gene therapy, or on the cases I think that you're talking about, like
Manipulating like for certain traits.
okay, so that's not really what we want to get across. We don't think that that's right, and I'm pretty sure that that's illegal. I'm not 100% positive about that, so don't quote me, but yeah. So we just want to use it for gene therapy in helpful ways.
There was something in Britain when there were 9 genetically engineered embryos for 2 women and 1 man, and they were killed. So I don't think it's allowed to genetically engineer for recreational purposes.